Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's Wednesday. Week's going by quickly, but you know what? It's because it's the last week of school. And I think we actually got a market this morning. You know, it's tighter than we would like, for sure. But it's not like one tick. And there has been a little bit of overnight movement and decent. I guess it's still like what? Well, there's been a decent amount traded at 29.5, so I would say more volume than yesterday. But let's come over and look at the charts and see where we're at compared to yesterday. So here we got ZN. Looks like we had a fall overnight. Ooh, okay. Yield curve's still flattening a little bit. That's curious. S&P 500 still, it's looking okay, but like it's man, volatility is just so compressed right now, right? Oil a little bit lower, below $78. Gold and silver still kind of just you know, this big jump up here and kind of coming back to this support line here. Silver is looking is some of the best it's looked in years, frankly. Copper though, copper taking a little bit of a fall compared to the other metals. Japanese yen continues to just kind of, you know, like follow this trend line down, but not like break the support, but they're like right on the edge, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on that again. And oh wait, the dollar moving up a little bit, just a tad. Bitcoin coming back a little bit after that huge run, but nothing too bad. There was a pretty good amount of inflows into the ETFs this week, so Bitcoin is looking okay for now. So coming back over here, let's go through and do our notes. Which one should it be on? Be over here. Yes. Okay. Move day to 21. Okay. By the way, good morning, Octavius, Edion, Rob, Jake, Uzi, and Bolo Effects. Hey, Bolo Effects, you're usually later, and you're right at the beginning of the stream. Congratulations for being one of the true early risers, dedicated day traders. Octavius is working some longs here. This is interesting. Okay, well, so I don't really know. Let's see if I come in here, Control T, day flows. What we got here today? Well, Wednesday tends to have higher activity, but we're still in quiet part of month. Going into summer. Now, we do have Fed meeting minutes today, correct? Let me see here. Yes, we have meeting minutes. Oops. FOMC meeting minutes. And we have a 20-year bond auction. And Goolsby, who is dovish, and existing home sales. Okay, so when I game all of that out, I think I see higher activity today. Bond auction could be weighing on us a little bit. Existing home sales is kind of neutral, but so I'm seeing a lot of things that like don't seem to be explicitly directional yet, but does kind of suggest to me activity today. So we might be able to just kind of scalp around in this range. There is an awfully big iceberg on both sides here, and there is pretty thick liquidity. I think I want to note in here thick liquidity. She's looking thick today. That's weird. It's not. So going through the Discord server and deleting the spam, and it didn't delete this message. I have to go through all the channels and delete stuff now. No, looks like we're okay. 28.5 is the 2-week VPOC. Okay. Well, I don't really feel like that tells me anything about future flows, though. I don't know. Kind of makes me feel like, I don't want to trade that spot, huh? I don't know. Let's see here. Why would that be the 28-week VPOC? Oh, because that was where we spent so much time the week before last. Yeah, so that's very interesting. But it's curious to me that the rise that we saw from like, let's see here, what was the 14th? Was the 14th CPI? I think that one, no. I think the CPI was the 15th. And the day before that must have been PPI. That must be what that is. That rise just kind of like did not hold at all, right? So, lighting on my camera here doesn't look quite right. Is it not? Yeah, it's not right enough. Here we go. Let's fix that. That's better. That looks much better. I don't know, like, why did it sell overnight would be kind of like my big question. I don't necessarily see, I mean, there was a German auction overnight, but UK core CPI. Yeah, I'm just not seeing what would be driving that. Let's see here. Well, okay, it was when all of those UK numbers and European numbers were released was when we dropped. So let me see here. UK CPI month over month spot 3 versus spot 1. Okay. So it seems to me like the market is down overnight because of inflation in UK is still hot. Let's put that in here. Inflation in UK is still hot. So this is something that I've not quite sorted out, but it seems to me that you will get like these UK traders that kind of keep positions open for a really long time and can kind of fight you during the regular session, you know? So they might fight the long. Overall, though, like there's a lot trading at 29 and 29.5. That seems to be like they're okay with this price really early on, and that to me is like, yeah, they have a lot of trade to do this morning. What's the right word? Not do. They have orders that they need to fill today, but the market must not have a strong bias either. Maybe they could retrace a little bit of this. Maybe they could get back to 109 even. Like I could see Octavius's trade that we bounce here and go to 109 even, perhaps. And I am seeing a decent amount of flow to the long side in the 5-year, and a more recent jump in the 30-year. So I guess I would say that things right now are tilting to the long side, but I don't have enough like forward-looking information to you know, if I was taking one, I don't know if I'd be able to justify anything above 109. One other thing I might want to note, and this is just kind of more a curiosity more than anything, is that there is some really big bids below us. 6,000s. Much larger than anything else. Please help me. I want to make money consistently in trading. Well, give up now then. You know, the goal, you have the right goal. The goal is you want to be consistent, right? The reality, though, is that as retail traders, our ability to generate that kind of consistency is a little bit limited. And a lot of the things that one might do to try and be consistent often ends up giving your strategies fat tails, right? So it's better to accept a little bit of variation in your strategy. You know, like the idea here is, or let me put it this way, the more constraints that you put on yourself, the more difficulty you're going to have in finding success, because the market doesn't always conform to what we would like it to do. So if we come in and we say, well, I want to make X dollars a day, or I need to make $10,000 a month to, you know, to justify trading and to live off of it or something like that, right? Well, once you put yourself into that space where it's like, I have to make this amount each month, right? That's a constraint that you've put on yourself. And, you know, you're going to have to trade certain ways in order to make that happen. And there are other things, for instance, a momentum strategy. Momentum strategy doesn't necessarily make money every month. Can't necessarily live off of a momentum strategy really consistently every month, because there are going to be some months and even years that you will be down. But over a long period of time, that kind of excess variation in your portfolio comes out to gains that make it worth it and give you a really high sharp ratio, right? So that is an example of, okay, losing some of the constraints. I'm going to hold trades for days or months. I'm going to have multiple positions at a time. I'm going to trade a bunch of different instruments, right? Those are all kind of like freeing yourself from the things that we normally kind of limit ourselves to, right? I only want to day trade. I don't want to hold a position overnight. I want to make a consistent amount every month so that I can live off of it, right? So what I would do instead is I would say, okay, what do I have right now? Like what are things that I have that I can consider a real edge, you know? My knowledge of the market, maybe you have some technical setup, I doubt it, but maybe you do. If you have the ability to program, that can be a big edge. I think that that's probably my strongest edge, is that I can program and actually test all of these things. You know, and start there and say, okay, well, I have this. Which instrument best lends itself to that? Which time frames and ways of trading and stuff best lend themselves to that? And work out, and kind of don't put constraints on where it goes. Just run with what you have. Yeah. Be real with the timeline it takes to learn this skill set. I saw this thread yesterday on Reddit where this guy was saying trading is like losing weight. Like there's a straight explicit formula that you can use to lose weight, and yet everybody has a hard time with it because they can't do the things necessary for them to lose weight. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is such a perfect example, because you're wrong on both accounts, and they're both situations where I think that the general public misunderstands the challenges involved. Losing weight is hard, and it's not just hard because it requires a certain amount of self-control. Okay, your body fights losing weight. They've done more recently, some of the more recent studies that we've had that I think are really interesting. They've shown that, like, when you start dieting and when you start exercising, that your body wants to keep the homeostasis, so it reduces its resting metabolic rate the rest of the time. Right? So you taking in less food, it just reduces its resting metabolic rate so that you burn less calories. You're working out, so you're burning a ton of calories, you're working out, but then like your actual total calorie expenditure over the day remains the same because your body reduces its metabolic rate the rest of the day. And so to actually like reduce or increase your calorie usage, you like really have to ramp up the exercise to the point where the body can't compensate for it, right? And then on top of that, you've got the insulin resistance problems. The American diet is so high in highly available carbs. So you eat something like white bread, and there's all those carbohydrates in it, and all of those carbohydrates hit your bloodstream at the same time and spikes your insulin response. And when you're spiking your insulin response like that all the time, your body starts to go, oh, you know, I get a lot of insulin all the time, so I don't actually need to like react so strongly to this insulin, right? And you get to the point where your cells don't react to the insulin at all. And that's a problem because you actually need the insulin. I mean, yes, the insulin builds fat, but it's also involved in breaking the fat down. And it's very much involved in like building muscle. So when you have insulin resistance, it's very difficult to lose weight. And that's why you have all of these people that they say that they're dieting and exercising and they don't lose weight. But then they go and they get on these new medications. What are they called? I can't even remember. The peptides. You get on the peptides, and the peptides do two things. First thing is that they reduce your calorie intake because you just get hungry really, really quickly. But then the second thing that they do is they kind of fix your insulin response and make your body insulin sensitive again. And then the weight just like melts off pound a week, right? And that's where we've gotten to in our understanding of losing weight. And so people don't have trouble losing weight because they don't have discipline. They have trouble losing weight because we were misinformed and we didn't understand what's actually necessary to do it. And there are like real challenges in there that beyond just the discipline, there's challenges in there beyond just the discipline that a lot of people can't overcome. Like you might not be able to spend the time to eat well or the money to eat well to get your insulin response to a good spot, right? And trading, you know, has similar challenges, right? It is a competitive game. Most people just don't have an edge. And to come in here and say, well, all you got to do is exercise discipline and then you'll make money is total bullshit. It's an absolute lie. I don't know why all of these people keep saying it, but that's just not the way that it works. If the market arbitrages everything away. So if you have all of the most perfect risk management, all that does is keep you break even. You will still eventually burn all of the money that you have because you need an actual edge to make money. And having that edge is really hard because you might have like what we could kind of consider a potential edge, but like actually executing and benefiting from that edge is a difficult thing. So yes, most traders will not make it because it's just hard. It's a real challenge. You know, it's a competitive game. That means that like only so many people can win, and you know, at some degree, you kind of have to be honest with yourselves to be like, okay, like where do I fit on this totem? So I do weightlifting, and I'm not very good at weightlifting. I think that I have made some improvements this cycle because I just seem to be recovering so much better. I think that it could be like I'm sleeping better. I'm eating like eggs cooked in avocado oil every morning. And so I got like more omega-3s and cholesterol. So I think that I could be getting a little bit more testosterone than normal because I just feel a lot more like the energy is there and feeling confident, and like I constantly have this feeling that like this cycle is different and then I'm doing better and all of these sorts of things. I made a song last night and I was like, this is freaking awesome. Like it's cool to have a song and like there's like you get one or two elements and those are really good, and then you try and build the track around those one or two elements. But this was like, this element is awesome and this element is awesome, and now I've got like 5 or 6 things, and then you know I'm trying to refine everything to get it down to a finished track, and I add like 3 more cool things. It's like, oh my gosh, right? And is that all in my head? Something's different. Something's different, right? Wow, I totally like went off onto that tangent about with this. So with weightlifting, okay. But even with me like doing really well, like me at my best, I am like mid at best, right? Anybody who starts weightlifting at 19 years old will probably end up lifting more weight than me in the snatch and clean and jerk, because I'm just not built for it, right? You go and you have a wrist that's larger than mine, which is probably almost guaranteed that you have a larger wrist than me. You can put more muscle on your bones and you can probably lift better than me. Okay. So I have to be honest with myself. Like, am I going to be an Olympic level weightlifter? I'm not. I'm just not. It's still a worthwhile venture for me. And there's still a lot of personal development that I can get through me. But I'm not going to be in the Olympics. Probably never going to be a national champion. I probably would never even be able to qualify for the national competitions in weightlifting. That's not like me counting myself short, right? That's just like a healthy dose of reality, understanding like the advantages and disadvantages that I have in relation to the task that I'm trying to do, right? Now in weightlifting, it's cool because I still benefit. You know, I have to exercise some way, and I can't imagine doing anything else. Maybe someday I'll pick up running, but I don't, because I should be better suited to running, right? But I don't enjoy running. But in trading, unless you're like in that top echelon, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose money. I made money 2022, I lost money 2023, right? And in trading, unless you're like that top level, probably going to lose. And so you kind of have to sit down and ask yourself, right? Like, okay, how much do I enjoy doing this actually? If I'm just doing this because I think that this is a way that I can make money, like this is my best bet to become rich or to shift my career, have more freedom, etc., 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 because that's the reason why a lot of people do day trading, right? do something else. If that's why you're in it, do something else. I'm telling you, almost anything else that you could do would be more likely to get you to your goal than day trading. Almost anything else. And it's really sad to say that, but that's just like, that's the statistics, right? That's what happens. But if you're like me and you truly enjoy it and you don't want to do anything else, then you're in the right place. And I can't guarantee you success, but I'm at least going to give you the tools that you need to stand a chance. Man, that was a really long speech there. A really long, demotivating. No, I put the work in, so I expect to make it. No. Norman, it doesn't matter how much work I put into weightlifting. I could work out twice a day. You can actually work out twice a day with weightlifting. That is a thing. But work out twice a day. I could have all of the best diet. I could have the best trainer in the world. There is no way that I will ever be an Olympian because I just don't have the genetics for it. Right? And trading is the same way. Like, you can come in and put in as much work as possible, and you could still come short. There are some things when there's competition involved, right? Like, that's the thing, is it's a competitive thing. Or like, another way you could look at it is basketball. Like, do you think that if you put in all of the work that you would be in the NBA? Because you know what? There's lots of people that put in all of the work and wash out. They don't make it to the NBA, right? Yeah. But if you really love it, then you can then you're going to be okay with falling short, right? Something that you will see among a lot of the retail trading gurus that you see out there on YouTube, people on YouTube in general, in fact, I would say, is they tend to be narcissistic. A lot of these guys that were gurus that got sued by the FTC and all of those sorts of things, and you're like, well, how do people end up committing that kind of fraud and everything? And my observation has been, it's very often narcissism. They go in and they start trading, and of course, if you're trading, you have to tell everybody that you talk to that you're making money with it, right? If you're a narcissist, because if you're a narcissist, you're trading and you're losing money with it. That's just devastating to you, because that's the whole thing, is that the narcissist is obsessed with how other people view them. So if my whole thing is trading and I'm not having success with it, that's going to affect everybody's opinions of me, and ergo they have to say whatever they possibly can to manage that perception, and that usually ends up being lying about your performance, right? And then they become an influencer, and they have to lie and lie and lie, and they don't think about the future consequences, right? They can't help but do the thing that they think will improve their perception amongst that audience, and that's all they can think of, right? Narcissism will kill you in trading, right? I love doing this so much that I'm okay with coming in and saying well, I lost a little bit in 2023. Okay. If I had lost $1 million in 2023, then I would be a little upset with myself. Okay. But if I lost $100, $200, something like that, that's okay. That's okay, because we're getting really good at this. And a lot of what happens is kind of a function of the market, all of these sorts of things, right? For the most part, I think that I tread water, for the most part. Although I would say that over the past few years that the record is pretty much mostly winning. Although I probably need to trade more. Like, I've become maybe a little bit too selective now. I don't know. I kind of want to take a trade today. I'm sitting here going like, well, it's a Wednesday. This might actually be a market that could be favorable to me. But during this whole rant that we've had, they've basically been sitting here at 30.5, right? When it started, we moved from 29.5 to 30.5, and now it's just been sitting there. So, I don't know, man. I expect to lose, but when, well, see, Norman, you're saying a lot of things that are like really common in the trading industry. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you like where they come from and where they might not necessarily be useful to you. So with this one, the reason that people say this is because a lot of the biggest successes that we have come from these guys in the 80s trading momentum strategies. So when you're trading a momentum strategy, the win rate is not very good. Right? The trading strategy, you only win like 20-30% of the time. And the whole strategy is basically engineered to get you in at the beginning of a trend. And that's basically it. So it's not very good at identifying that a trend is starting or anything like that. But if a trend does happen, you'll be in on it. And you make so much money on those trends that it overcomes all of the losses. Right? That's the way that a momentum strategy works. But the reason that those wins are able to overcome the losses is because they can hold them for months or years. And they can take advantage of every opportunity because they're going to be trading in multiple instruments, right? Like say I'm coming over here and I'm day trading and I say I'm going to trade ES, right? And I have a position on an ES. Can I manage a scalp in ZN at the same time? It's kind of hard. Right? And so you kind of limit yourself to one position at a time, and you can only hold that as long as like your day trading session is, right? And from my experience and my math, you know, that means that your winners can maybe be 5 to 10 times your losers in a really good situation, right? Like my average loser in the micros is $10. But I have had 1 or 2 trades where I made $200, right? So it's like 10 to 1, right? But when you're trading these momentum strategies, they can be like 50 to 1 sometimes. Like some of their biggest winners are 50 times their average loser. It's insane because they can hold it forever, right? So if you're limiting yourself to the day trading time frame, that attitude might not necessarily be the most useful to you, right? The way that I look at it is, I want my winners to be larger than my losers, but I need to keep a pretty high win rate regardless. My win rate drops to 30, I'm probably not going to have success day trade. Not my strategy, you know? Well, you're probably fooling yourself. Well, everybody does it first though, right? See, this is the difference. Let me tell you, the difference between the guys that you see here on my stream that are here every day and everybody else, right? Is that everybody will come to a point where they realize like, okay, I didn't have success this time around, and I may never have success with this. Like the probability is that I never have success with this. And the people that come here every day, they were anticipating that from the very beginning. They understand that the challenge that they're up against, it's a puzzle that they want to crack, and they keep at it. That's the difference. Right. Thinking of it like a puzzle is perhaps a good way of thinking of it, right? It's a problem you have to solve, and you have to come up with an innovative solution that nobody else has come up with before to really truly have success, right? I think that probably I continue to tread water, and then maybe someday some opportunity comes along, some new product or market situation or something like that. And because we are so knowledgeable at the market and we're so practiced in everything, when that new opportunity comes along, will be the first ones in line to be able to take advantage of it, and then you make the big money. That's kind of my long-term plan. How many different trading systems have you automated and tested? Oh my gosh, Herc. So many. Let me show you. This isn't even all of them. So this computer is relatively new. I built this computer around Christmas time. It's been working really, really well too. Not that we were like in dire need of a new computer before, like I don't think that I ever really noticed it, but now it really just handles everything like a champ. So here's my old PC. My NinjaTrader, you know, I saved the files just in case. NinjaTrader bin custom strategies. Okay. So here's all of these strategies. Just the ones that I've made. 61. 61 in the base folder. Those aren't even the best ones. Those aren't even the best ones. The AAA, these are the best ones. So there's about a dozen of those. Oh, 11. And kind of what happened was I got so many that I had to start like separating them into folders. So like these were ones based on band indicators. You can see like there's Kelter and Donchian channels and things like that. Cycle indicators. Oh, I only have one in the cycle one. I think there's a couple more that should be in there. Euler. Some of the best stuff I've back tested came from Euler, by the way. Price action. There's a couple of these in here, right? And then the thing that you got to keep in mind is that for every one of those strategies, I can come in, I create variables in them so that it's like if there's a period, the period is a variable so that I can change the period in the backtester. And I even have things where it's like, okay, maybe I'm looking for a candlestick pattern. There's like 31 patterns that NinjaTrader recognizes. So I can make that into an enum and then have the strategy switch out which candlestick pattern it's looking for, right? So when you actually combine together all of the different like code files that I've made and then all of the different actual back tests that I do, when you include optimization runs and all of that sort of stuff, literally millions. Literally millions. Because I can come in and do thousands of iterations on just one strategy, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. What do you think about Euler's DC? I don't know if I've tried that one. What about strategies based off of rejections of yesterday's highs and lows? Yes. Yes, actually. What would that one be called? Is it buy? No, buy low, sell high is different. I'm pretty sure that I do have one like that. I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is right here. High, low, break. Daily high, low. Yeah, daily high, low. My recollection about the backtesting of that one was that it didn't work, but that there was some strange statistical properties of it, right? Like, I can go and I can do a backtest, and like, there's like, if the market was perfectly efficient and, you know, Gaussian and whatnot, you know, there's certain statistics that you're going to see, right? Like, based on what my average winner and average loser are, the percentage is going to come out to a certain amount. There's going to be a certain amount of streakiness in it because that's just kind of like the way that the market works. So if I have a strategy comes back and it is not profitable, but those numbers don't line up with like a Gaussian to me, that always kind of perks my interest. Like that says to me that like maybe there's something to it, even though there's not necessarily an edge. So it seems to me that there's definitely something with breaking the current day high and low and the previous day high and low. And even more specifically, If you can go through in like a 50-day high and low, because once those are broken, then you start to get momentum funds start to pile in. So there's definitely something to those, although it's clearly not it's not strong enough of an edge for you to make money on that alone, let's say. But there's some evidence to suggest that it kind of does work and that you can kind of fit it in with your system. Yeah. What variations were most... I don't know which ones you were talking about. So some of the most successful things that I came to, one was, oh, let's see here. I don't even remember the name of this indicator. It's in AAA here. I think it's Squire. Yeah. So Lizard Indicators has something called a squeeze channel. And it's basically kind of this idea like you get with Bollinger Bands that, like, you know, the Bollinger Bands, they kind of contract, and when that happens, you'll tend to eventually get a spike in volatility sort of a thing, right? It's basically based off of that kind of setup, and that seemed to work really well. Okay, do you backtest with tick data? When I can, but it's not always practical, right? Like I can only get like 1 or 2 years worth of tick data, and I want my strategies to be backtested at least 5 years back, right? So when I start testing with tick data, I'm kind of doing it more as a sanity check. Like, there kind of has to be a little bit of an assumption that my back test is not going to be completely perfect to real life. And so if I got a strategy and it's working really, really well, then I'm going to say like, okay, well, is it because of some of these sorts of issues that testing it on tick data will kind of reveal? So if I can go over a month or a year's worth of data and show that the back test is pretty close on the tick data to what it was without the tick data, then that's good enough for me, right? Do you have a portfolio? I'd say no. Most of these, I don't know. I may be a little bit too picky. There might be a world where you combine a bunch of these together and they work pretty well. But in general, like, none of these really performed quite the way that I wanted them to. And then, like, more generally speaking, I would say that I think that my manual trading still does better. So, like, I learn a lot from the back testing, but the market is just really statistically efficient, and there's more edge in the informational inefficiencies. So, you know, I just kind of, the things that I learn with the indicators, I just kind of tuck them away in the back of my head and kind of look for situations where what I know about the flows and information that's not being correctly factored into the market might coincide with some of those things to help me out, you know? But I don't run them. Another thing that happens, though, is I might say, oh, well, we should run this strategy, right? And then I forget to turn it on because I have to come in every day and turn it on. So another thing is that I want to implement machine learning with it all, and I haven't gotten around to doing all that. Which brings me to what we were messing with yesterday, by the way. Do you guys want to take a look at that real quick? I'm just gonna close that. Do I still have it open? Kind of. So, you know, over here, I did get a way to grab transcripts from YouTube. You want to look? So first I do get video IDs. So this is using the Google API. It comes in here. It does a request for all videos. That's apparently that playlist is all videos. And then it outputs like into a file the name of them. So I got like the little unique ID that you use in the URL, right? So I have all of those. So that's the first step. And then I do get transcripts. This one was actually like really close when we left yesterday. And what I was able to figure out after the stream was to use the YouTube DLP. So this is kind of a little library you can use on your machine that will like download videos for you. Like if you want to download a YouTube video, that's kind of what people typically use it for. But it has a method here where I can extract the info about it. So I extract the info, and then there are automatic captions. There are URLs for automatic captions inside of that info. And then I use wget to download it. So then you get these VTT files in my captions folder. Okay, and then I found this nifty little utility that somebody had made called VTT2text that basically takes that VTT file and converts it into text, just straight text. So now I got everything in, like every video converted to a text file. And then I just concatenate them all together. So like, caption / all set that text. And here you got literally every video. Everything I've ever said on YouTube in one gigantic text file that if you go to the end of is 1,809,155 lines long. That's amazing. When I did it, I was pretty amazed. Like I was like, this should be possible. And when we were doing it on stream, I started to get disappointed because I was like, I thought that I could get the captions and I can't, but I could. I figured it out. So I was super proud about that, right? So then you know what I did? I went over to ChatGPT and I'm like, hey, let's make a GPT with this file. So I went in and I posted the picture over here. I'm not going to pull it up again. I posted a picture over here. When I tried to input it, that seems small, 1 million, yeah. Almost 2 million. I actually thought it would be larger too. Anyways, when I tried to put it into ChatGPT, it says, this file contains too much text. Please try again with a smaller file. Yeah, word limit. So ChatGPT says that you can put in a 250 megabyte file and like 2 million tokens or something like that. So I'm under the token limit and I'm under the size limit, but apparently there is a word limit too that they don't tell you about, and it is too big. Google is expanding Gemini 1.5 Pro's context window to 2 million for select Google Cloud customers. I will need to look at that. Maybe I can put it into a different one, but I don't know if I'm willing to, how much I'm willing to pay to try. You know what I mean? It's not including spaces in your file and GPT is. I don't know. Like my understanding is that there's a token, and a token doesn't necessarily correspond to a word. So like your file is actually less tokens than words. But and I should be under the token limit, but it's still, yeah. That'd be pretty fun to play around with if you get it working. I feel like so, yeah. The thing that's so funny is that the deeper I get into this machine learning chat GPT thing, the more I enjoy just doing things manually on my own. You know, like when I was writing these scripts to get the information, and I would ask the GPT about how to do it, the answers that it gave me were total junk. There are a lot of different frameworks and libraries. What are the ones that you might learn to start with machine learning and then do it for limit order books? Okay, so the model that I'm most interested in trying to use with our stuff that, you know, I've got to get my pipeline and then we start shoving it into was TabNet. This is an algorithm created by Google that is good with like time series datas, so forth. Yeah, make a trading version of yourself, and that's exactly what I want. I don't want a trading version of myself. I want an AI that I can speak with that knows everything that's happened on this channel and knows how to talk, and then inserts itself in. And or takes over the stream. You know, like I start piping in everything that you guys say on chat into the AI and know how to do that, because I made an AI that would read everything that you guys say in chat using text to speech. So you set that up, and then the AI can run the stream while I like focus on programming or something like that. Do the news at 8 and 8:30 will move. I think that the news at the top of the hour probably will move the treasuries a little bit. Just a little bit. The existing home sales is a piece of information that the market looks at. But I would say that it's kind of like a you know, level 2, you know, it's like a yellow. Medium impact, not high or extreme. Anyways, but yeah, every time that I try doing stuff with these AIs, it's like I run into limitations. It's like, well, you have to train it on this data set. So like continually training it against like new data as it comes in, that's kind of a hard thing. You can't necessarily do that with some of the online tools that are available to you. Maybe if you were doing it all locally. But basically, LLMs are not good with live data, for instance. That's a huge limitation for us, right? It's a huge limitation for like a lot of things. It makes me wonder if our own cognition is just sufficiently complex that we didn't notice our own stochastic parrot within us. So I think that as you study how LLMs work, that it helps you understand certain parts of the brain really well. And a lot of language is exactly what GPT is doing. Your brain is just kind of has all of this information that it's collected through its life, and it's created a neural network that knows how to talk. And that's backed up with other parts of the brain that are slower, that actually understand logic and actually want to say things and stuff like that, right? That the GPT doesn't have. But like, how do we actually get language? I think that it is much the same way that GPT does it. And that is incredibly curious, isn't it? Will an AI ever be created that will have unlimited learning capacities, or do you think there will always be a limitation due to code? I don't know. I think, though, that if such an AI is possible to exist, it's really, really far away. Like the thing that I'm seeing in the AI space right now is that OpenAI in particular has this attitude of like, it's going to happen one way or another, so you better get on board with it now. Because if we don't do it, China's going to do it, yada, yada, yada. And because of that, that seems to be able to justify like anything you can do to push the technology through faster, sort of a thing, right? And what's happened is I think OpenAI has bought their own hype. They really think that like the singularity is right around the corner, and everything that they're doing is kind of in furthering of that goal. And they're completely ignoring and dismissing like the actual real current limitations that are there with it. And so what's happening is everybody gets hyped up about this thing, right? And how many people are actually actively using it? Like really using the AI to the extent that everybody claims is going to be to like I think that a lot of people are more productive with it, sure. Like in a way that I'm more productive with Google, for instance, right? But it's not like I would say that like those people becoming more productive just means that there's more work that we can push through. Like we're not getting through all of the work. There's always, especially in tech, you know, there's always like technical debt and feature. Like you're never able to do everything that you want to do, right? And we're just maybe able to get closer to doing everything that we want to do. But this mythical world where like the robot does everything and like people are out of jobs, I just don't see it. I just don't see it right now. Every time that I try and mess with this thing, the limitations are glaring me right back in the face. And then I kind of ask, like, okay, are all of these people on the internet that are singing the praises of AI and that this is like the new age is here and everything, have they actually used it? Or did they just go to chat that you know, and just kind of mess around with it a little bit, but they're not actively using it? Because it seems to me like there are some use cases that like it's amazing at, and there are new use cases that it can do things that other technologies couldn't do, but there's still severe limitations. And every time I mess with it, I'm just bumping into the limitations, you know? I can only upload I want to give it data. I can only give it so much data, apparently. And there was all of the steps involved in getting that data into a form where I could actually pass it into the AI, right? Oh yeah. Can you pull up the cost basis? I took 4 ticks and still have a runner. So I see the cost basis at 109.00 half. They still haven't traded the 109 even though. So I don't know. This one's really tough because it's so tight. So that makes it really difficult for us to kind of judge how far it's going to go. I would say when I look at the charts, it's still pretty like, it's still kind of iffy, you know? So that makes it very, very difficult. But there's probably going to be a lot of trade around 109 even if they trade that. So your chances of getting filled at both of those edges are a little bit better than normal. So I think that 109.00 half would be realistic. What scares you the most about AI or in tech in general? Well, here's what I'm scared about with the AI is I think, so I don't know about it like taking over our jobs, but I am concerned about it taking over our social lives. Like this recent demo that they've showed with ChatGPT 4o, and that O is like the letter O, not like the number 0. Okay. It is like, it's a lot like Her, the movie Her. It sounds a lot like her. It's not Scarlett Johansson's voice, but it is like a happy voice with a lot of inflection. It almost in the video, it almost sounds to me like it's flirting with you, you know? And I'm concerned that you will get to a spot very, very quickly in the same way that you did with Facebook, with social media. You get into a spot with AI similar to what you did with social media, where people would rather talk to the AI than actually interact with the real world. That's what concerns me the most. You know, what do you do when you get to the point where, like, you can really use the AI for customer service? That was a good uptick right there. You can actually use the AI for, like, customer service. And so now every time that you go to a restaurant to order, it's an AI, and people would rather talk to the AI than to a real person, right? I think that world might be coming. And that might make people even more lonely than they already are. Do you know he's the great-grandson of mathematician George Boyle, the creator of the bully? Are you talking about Sam Altman? I don't know, man. You know, going back to what I was saying before, I'm kind of getting signs that, like, Sam Altman is high on his own supply. Like, you know, they're seeing they're kind of the tech entrepreneur sort of level of things and just pushing to make the money and all of that sort of a thing, and aren't actually understanding both the limitations and the negative impacts of these things. I don't like Sam Altman anymore. He's not an honest person. I find it weird, Autolicus. Oh, I'm talking about Jeffrey Hinton. Okay, I don't know who that is. Oh, I love listening to Jeffrey Hinton. Oh, okay. No, I've seen, like, the internet overall kind of come into this same place with Sam. It's kind of weird to me because where I'm seeing people say it is in the threads about Scarlett Johansson lawyering up and all of that sort of stuff. And then everybody's like, oh, here was an own goal. Sam Altman, you know, being stupid and all of that sort of stuff. So, like, the reason that people online are saying that seems to be, like, the different reasons from what I'm seeing. Because from what I'm seeing is I use AI stuff because I want to be on the cutting edge of that for my trading. And that kind of helps me to be a leader in using AI at my workplace. And every time that I have some sort of a use case where I want to use it at work and I try and implement it, the technology can't do it. And then I look at all of these things that these CEOs are saying, and I'm like, you're selling us bullshit. This is just the same thing that the tech guys do all the time. As you come in and you're like, oh, this is like, here's what I think happens with AI. Here's one thing that I think will happen with AI is it'll get out there. They'll release this GPT-4o thing. You will see people will start using it at restaurants, for instance. Like, so now you go to McDonald's and you're talking to a GPT. And once, like, everybody's using that, then all of a sudden the cost of using it will, like, go up, like, exponentially. You'd be like, remember when you could use ChatGPT for free and all of those sorts of things, and now it's like, you know, this costs more than your house or something silly like that. Like, I kind of think that you're going to get that sort of a thing, because one of the things that they're not telling you with the AI, with LLMs in particular, is that what you're doing is you're taking, like, information and then you're baking this information into this model. And the model has to do with, like, okay, like, I have all of these nodes, and these nodes combine together in these different ways, and like, there's millions of them. Like, it's so vastly complicated, you just can't even understand it, right? But they're baking all of that stuff into the model. And so there are, like, actual real costs in producing the model. one of the biggest costs for them is that they have to actually train it. And with the way that they do things, they train it by hand. They have people interact with the robot, ask it questions, ask it to do things and so forth, and then judge the responses. And they have people that are looking at the responses for, like, all you people going out there and using ChatGPT, they are reviewing those and further training the model based off of those. Yeah, so it's like compression. It's like you're taking all of this information and compressing it down. And so they're hiding from you right now the cost of actually collecting all of that information and stuffing it into the model. And once they have you, right? Once everybody's hooked on it, right? Then the actual costs of doing that will be revealed. Then you'll find out that it's actually not so much more efficient than people. I think is something that you'll probably see a little bit of. And then there will be some industries where people love the AI so much that they have to keep it, and there will be other industries that move back towards using people, I think. There's always, there's this kind of this thought from these people that, like, the AI is magic, that it's going to be able to do everything without any costs. And that's just not the way that the world works, right? Like there are actual real limitations imposed by physics. You know what I mean? I don't know. Would we have gotten filled at 0.0 if we had the order up there? There was 2,000 have traded, and we're like trading 5,000 stacks, so we might still be waiting for a fill. So maybe the 109 even was a better place. But yeah. I guess one of the main reasons why I'm really frustrated, especially with it at work, is that, like, the real challenge in AI, in my opinion, is managing the data. Creating a data pipeline where you take the data that you have, pull it out of your databases, transform it, save it in a form that the AI can understand, and then training the AI on that data. That is, like, the real challenge. And everybody's wasting their time with ChatGPT, which is really quite limited, you know? Yeah, you can ask me any question anytime. You just put a question. You know, wow, you're already a member? Wow. Thank you so much. Al Cohen. Is that your real name, or is that a play on? What is his name, Cohen? Famous hedge fund manager. Steve Cohen. That's funny. Kind of taking a look over here, seeing if any of the markets are kind of moving, but it overall looks pretty gentle. Let's keep in mind that we do have news at the top of the hour. Oh, yes, that's right. So we should be getting Fed's Goolsby here in a second. So let's keep an eye on that. Now, Goolsby is likely to be dovish, so that's a buy. Oh, look, they did clear the 0.0 half. Okay. Okay. Well, now here's the situation where you're like, okay, so do they keep going across to 0.2 half? Or do they bounce there? See, like trading it for bounce is not a very good. Seems like that if you have a long down in here and you make that as your target, that's a target that's really likely to be touched. But knowing whether it's going to bounce there or go through, you can't. I was hoping I could get current economic releases here. Oh yeah. I focus very heavily. Also, in any case you missed it, if we come back over here. So here are my notes for today. Here are the things that we know right now that could potentially tell you things about future orders, right? So we moved down overnight because inflation in the UK was hot. Those numbers were a little hot. That's why the Treasuries sold a little bit. Wednesdays, a lot of activity happens on Wednesdays. A lot of big orders get transacted on Wednesdays. But we are at the end of May when things really start to slow down. So probably be slow, but not as slow as yesterday and Monday, right? It'd be better than yesterday and Monday. We do have FOMC meeting minutes, so you probably will see people hedging for that. There's a 20-year bond auction, which tends to be like sell before and then buy afterwards. We have Goolsby speaking now. I don't know if he's going to say anything about the economic outlook, but let's keep an eye on that. Let's see. He tends to be dovish though, so I if I was going to make a trade anticipating him, I think it would be long. And then at the top of the hour, we get existing home sales. And then the other thing that I note is that we have free thick liquidity. So I would expect to see activity today, that there should be some opportunity today, but that doesn't give me a clear imbalance. So I couldn't really say for sure which direction we'd be going. But right now the trend is up. We actually, so it's funny, I was saying, okay, there we got to 0.00 half. Now will we trade the other side of it, the 0.2 half? And you are kind of starting to see some a little bit of a stop run, because there was like a kind of a resistance at 0.2, and like they came through and reached that really quickly, and I think that you were seeing people stop out. I don't think that would be a very good indication that like we will go further, but the trend is up at the moment. And I am seeing the Japanese yen respond pretty well here on the upside. Although the yen has only breached its last resistance point by like a tick. And yeah, I don't know. So I think that we are in an area you have to be a little bit careful about it maybe sputtering out. In other words, I'm not going to take a trade here. I don't trust this area. Gonna wait a little bit more. Maybe after the new home sales. Those are the kind of things I'm looking at right now. I'm just reading a couple of things on Twitter there. Per Microsoft, their AI chatbot will have photographic memory of everything you do on a PC. Per, I don't know what MW stands for. Whatever. How old were you when I started? So I first got into the markets in 2008 when I was like in my 20s. Oh, Market Watch, of course. Good catch, Susie. So how old was I in 2008? Well, 2005 I would have been 20. So I was 23. I was 23 in 2008, and that's when I got interested in the markets and I first started like trading. But like that was mostly on paper, and then I went to work at a bank and I wasn't able to like live trade at the bank. So I wasn't able to really get into futures trading until my 30s, basically. It's definitely something that the earlier you start, the better. But like if you start in school, like say you get interested in it when you're 14, you know, like work to get into a good university and then get hired out of school to be a trader at a big firm, and then you can be a rock star, you know? Oh, you know what I just noticed? I haven't had any stuffy nose sort of problems yet. You think it's coming? We'll see. There's an iceberg at 0.2 and it looks like that they climbed that really easily. Also, I'm seeing flattening here. The 30-year is going a lot harder than the other ones. So we should be careful with that, because that means that when they're done with the 30, they're probably going to sell the 10 and the 5. If they're still doing a spread trade. Now, I don't know why you would put a flattener on. It started in 2023. There you go. Well, you're definitely better doing futures than crypto, but get into a good school, study market microstructure, and get hired by Wall Street to do block trading. Or go work for Cargill. That's another one. How much further do you think this has got? You think it's got more in it? There's a good stack there at 0.2, by the way. Remember, there was all these stacks down here at like 6,000 stacks down at like 29 in the low, but those aren't there anymore. And we just got the 1.6 stack at 0.2. Does seem to like 0.2 half. The Japanese yen spiked a little further, so I am kind of suspect that maybe it's the Japanese yen that's moving things and not anything else. Well, you know, with all things in retrospect, I should have taken the trade that Octavius took, right? Because I was like, I don't have a clear imbalance, but I think that there will be activities, so I might be able to jump on board something, and like that was probably it. You know, I was too skeptical of it. I guess it was good for me to be skeptical of it, because at the time we were kind of trending down, right? He kind of caught a real reversal. So unless we put limits on corporations buying single-family homes, 90% of us are going to end up as lifelong renters in the U.S. will be one giant network of Pottersvilles. How about, like, you just build more houses? Like, if you built enough houses, there would be the corporations would not want to buy single homes. Right? Corporations are only buying single-family homes because they know that you're not building enough of them. And ergo, it's a good investment. If you built enough houses, it wouldn't be a good investment, and then they would stop doing it. Wow, James Comey. I don't care how you feel about Joe Biden, you must vote for him. Jeez. That's not a very good look coming from him. Prince William has been named the UK's third sexiest man of 2023. What the heck? That's weird. Well, no runny nose, but still a bit of a cough. So 10 minutes here. You know, another thing that we could probably like, so what's with the melt up? You know, it could be any of these things that I have listed on here. But one thing that we should be keeping an eye on right now is they could be front running existing home sales. That's something that happens a lot. So lately is people front running the big economic news. So ATB announces final studio album. Oh, I gotta hear that. I think that we just kind of hold here until that happens, though. I kind of feel like going back on a rant about AI, but I'm like, oh, let's give that a rest for a little bit. Let's give that one a rest for a little bit. Do the big banks, institutions, and big agos lose money too, and to whom? Well, so that's a really broad group, right? The big banks, of course, they can lose money, but most of the way that they position themselves is we're just helping other people make transactions, right? They want to make money helping other people make transactions. So they don't typically take bets the way that we do. The closest analog in the industry to what we do is going to be like a hedge fund, right? Like there are certainly hedge funds out there that they have one guy that's running the show and he says, I want to invest in this, I want to invest in that, and he can invest in everything. Now, of course, the strategies that they employ might be different, right? They might be investing in different types of assets and so forth, right? Maybe not necessarily futures, okay? But these guys, these funds, they lose money. For sure they do. For sure they do. You know, a really large portion of the hedge funds lose money too, you know? So I think that's kind of like the one saving grace is okay, it's hard to have an edge, but the opportunity is there. There's enough money in this market that's being wasted on all sorts of stupid ideas that, you know, you might be able to take advantage of. Thanks for the no problem. I kind of felt like that was a shorter explanation than the other things that we had, so I'm glad that one's satisfied. I guess the question that you really should be asking, Sergio, is who are the different players and what types of strategies do they employ, right? Like there's one strategy out there where they buy an index fund and with like 60% of their portfolio, and then the other 40% of their portfolio, they buy bonds. And then at the end of every month or end of every quarter, they rebalance things to make sure that their portfolio adheres to that 60-40 split. And that's called a risk parity fund. Really important type of fund to know about. Because when they rebalance at the end of the month, you might be able to take advantage of that. One of the most powerful flows in the market, right? So that's kind of what we're doing. Like you can think about the market as like there's all of these different players, and then when X happens, what are these guys going to do and these guys are going to do? And then you can perhaps game that out into flows that you're going to see here in the market and trade off of it. So I normally have like a fidget cube on my desk here to play around with, and it's not there. So all I have to play with is this key for some reason. I keep holding this key. I have this key so that my son cannot get into the box with permanent markers in it. It's over there. It's not a very good fidget toy. Not a very good fidget toy. Well, I don't know if the falling down one tick from 0.2 is like a huge still or anything, but there's a pretty big iceberg, 58.16 on the way back. It's kind of a large transaction to be happening 3 minutes before I mean, it's not big news. This is kind of like small impact news, but it's all we got today. So it's one of the few things we've got today, and it's in 3 minutes. So that's kind of weird. All right, 1 minute left here. 1 minute 5 seconds. I'm that excited for this news. I've never been more anxious and excited for an existing home sales report. That's all we get this week, okay? Come on. No. The Fed meeting minutes at 2 o'clock Eastern time. That's relatively major news. That could be a big deal. We'll see. Well, you're not really seeing a pull. The liquidity did decrease a little bit, though. At least one guy turned his DOM off because there's not 5,000s out there anymore. Okay, so the existing home sales change was negative 1.9% versus an expected 0.84. That would be, I'd say, in general, a positive for the Treasuries. But not seeing any volume whatsoever coming through after that. So we could see some profit taking here. I think they would like to probably keep this area. But maybe that large meta order had nothing to do with the existing home sales, and now they're ready to execute the rest of it. And we have another move up. Could also happen. We are right at the buyer's cost basis right now, by the way. Nope. A little bit of fight. A little bit of fight. Or maybe pulling the rug out from underneath of them, but it didn't really result in a whole lot. It just did tick back down. Should have started programming today, you think? I want to make that that new chart. Well, let's give it a little bit. You guys had a lot of questions today, so maybe we'll have you know, another question or two. Yuck, they fixed it. Yeah, dude, the volatility is so insanely low right now. It will definitely increase after Labor Day. Okay, and then we get into the election season, and the VIX will be elevated because of the election season. But right now, and going through to the summer, volatility just looks super tight. Super tight. Okay, a little bit more excursion on the downside there. Wow, 188 kilograms for 7 sets? That's insane. Look at this guy. That's a beast right there. 188. Dude, he's got... Well, those must not be reds. Insane. What a beast. Oh yeah, you're right, Autolicus. Nvidia is today, I think. And that could be really weird. I don't know. It could be really good. It could be really bad. Guess we'll see. Guess we'll see. Man, I must be scraping the bottom of the barrel of the social media here today because Reddit's showing me all this stuff that's like doesn't normally show me. Now it's showing me this other girl weightlifter. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, that's only like 100 kilos, but she's a tiny girl, so how big is she? 49. What? How can you even be 49 kilograms? What is that in pounds? That's like 110. Oh, that's tiny. That's tiny. You don't look tiny. But he ain't got nothing for comparison. Okay, there's a guy, so she's short. Now she must be like 5'3" or something. Good grief. All right, well, I guess let's pull up some programming here. I think it's chart styles. Do I not have the better candle on here? I do not. Okay, interesting. So I have to go and grab it. We're going to take the better candlestick and we're going to make it better. I don't even have multi-time period ones, do I? Okay. What should we call my candle style, huh? Okay. Well, for now, let's just say Seth candle. And I want to pull up, let's see here, what would be the best thing to use? I want to pull up one of my own indicators over here to use as an example. Oh, you know what? I should probably do like one of these ones. Yeah. maybe this one? Yes, that's what I want. That's what I want. Okay. Oh boy. So, yep, we're going to make candlesticks. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take Sims candlesticks and see if we can make them better. And by better, I mean more memory and processor efficient. So the first thing that I'm seeing here is that they are using, or he, this is Sim 22's. So I think we should give him credit because he did write something that was pretty good to start with. But I do remember going through this and also running it on my chart and kind of being like, it looks like there could be some improvements made. So, the first thing I'm seeing is that he freezes all of the brushes. So I remember there being something about freezing brushes, but I don't know if that is something that I actually do. So I'm going to search over here to see how was I handling that. I do not use that. Oh, here we go. Sharp DX reference. Best practices. There we go. Okay. Using WPF brushes. Try to use a static, predefined brush if possible. If you need to customize a new brush object, make sure to freeze the brush before using it. Why? The predefined brushes are thread safe and do not require any special handling. Custom defined brushes, on the other hand, are not thread safe and must be frozen, otherwise cross-thread exceptions can occur. I see. So I must just not be using that at all. Yeah. I instead am using a DX brush. Instead of a solid color brush. Oh, let's see here. What are Sims candlesticks? So, I don't have it loaded up into NinjaTrader. I just copied the file over right now. But basically, it gives you a little bit more customization options on it. Like, hold on. I sneezed. Oh my gosh. It allows you to define opacity for the candles, for instance. And it allows you to define, like, the outline colors separately, because like in current bars, what would that be? A bar that has like, is it one that has a, okay, yeah. So over here, here I can say, here's the down bar color, and here's the up bar color, and here's the candle body outline in the candle wick, right? So I can choose any color that I want for the outline, but all candles will be colored with that outline. So what if I want one where like the outline is a slightly different color? Like for down bars, the outline is bright orange and the inside is like a darker orange, you know, that sort of a thing. You can't do that with these bars. And so that's why he made his version of it. With me so far? So, where I think that I can improve things is by, you know, utilizing some of these best practices. Working with brushes. In cases where you would like a more specific color, you can create your own brush object. If you do not call freeze on a custom brush, it will eventually result in threading errors should you try to modify or access that brush after it is defined. Here's saving brushes as a serialized color. Here. SharpDX. Charts use DirectX API to render custom objects. A particular SharpDX brush object must be implemented, which reside in the SharpDX Direct 2D1 namespace. These brushes can then be passed as arguments to the render target. While the SharpDX brushes have much the same as previously discussed WPF brushes, there are a few special considerations. SharpDX brush must be created in onRender or render target changed. If you have custom brushes, which may be changed on various conditions such as on-bar update or by a user during on-state change, or you are pre-computing a custom brush for performance optimization, you will need to ensure the actual SharpDX instance is updated in onRender or render target changed. Each DirectX render target requires its own brushes. You must create brushes directly in onRender or using onRender target changed. If you do not, you will receive an error at runtime. Yeah, so if you try and create it outside of those methods, then it doesn't, because it's basically we're using the graphics card, and the way that graphics cards work is you set all of these settings on the graphics card, and then you have it run its pipeline. And so you have to have that render target where all of the settings are being set and everything in order to use that, right? Okay, so here is where they have a color. Okay, and here is one. Oh, okay. Converting from a Sharp. You can convert a computed WPF brush to a SharpDX brush using the 2DX brush extension method. This can result in performance issues depending on the number of brushes being used. If you experience performance issues with your custom SharpDX rendering, you should favor using SharpDX brushes directly instead of converting the brush using 2DX brush. Okay, so these are not SharpDX brushes. These are regular brushes, and he is freezing them so that you don't get the issues. Oh, it's all of his stuff up here at the top. Unstate changes at the bottom. Oh my gosh. Okay. So right here, for every bar. Okay, so they said converting to a DX brush can cause performance issues, right? And what is he doing? he is converting those brushes to a DX brush, not only every time that on render gets called, but for every bar. For every bar. That's not good, right? So that's what I'm going to fix. Right? Anybody that's ever used that indicator is kind of like now is like, oh, so that's why my system gets so slow when I put that on like 20 charts. The memory, because every time it's doing that, it's creating an object and messing with it. So here's how we fix this. Here's this chat class style. What's this stuff? Icon. Dude, I really hate the way that he has his methods set up. Okay, so let's fix that first. Okay, first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to take the on state changed and move it to the top. Okay. And okay, so he's got an objects icons on render. I'm gonna move this stuff down to the bottom. Well, except for that. The icon, I don't know where the icon gets used, so that'll be interesting to look at. He might be using something new that I'm not familiar with there with that. And then these two helper methods right here are going to go below on render. Okay. Now the next point thing is okay. Well, he doesn't have a whole lot in the setting the defaults, which is interesting, but that might just be chart styles, right? Hey, this stuff right here is like changing things so that like when you pull up the settings for it, they display differently. So that's kind of what that stuff is about. This stuff right here, though, that's naughty. Get rid of that. But first, I want to do just one other thing here, and that is, okay, yeah, this right here. Okay, this 4. Ugh, so big. Oh my gosh, it's so big. Low wick. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna put that into its own method, okay? So I'm gonna call this public void draw bar render target. We do have to well, we have to control, we have to carry all of this stuff over. Wait, so when it does this, oh, render target. Do I not have to pass the render target? Hold on. Well, for now, I'm just going to yank those. I feel like that there should be more stuff, but okay. Better. We can actually see some things. Okay. The next thing that I want to check are these properties down here. Do we have separate things for like the serialization? Yes, we do. There's down. Oh, out means outline. Down bar outline. Up bar outline. Oh, and there's a doji brush. Doji outline. So here's a thought. I think that we should also be able to change the wicks separately. What do you think? What do you think? So I'm going to add one right here. Okay, and I'm going to say this is the up wick brush. Up wick brush. Up wick brush. Wick color of up bar. Now, some people might not want to change that, so maybe we can make some setting that says like color wicks separately, and then it would change the interface or something like that. But we can do that like way later, like way after. Actually, let's do this. Let's right here at the top of the file. We can put some, and I'll do it like right up. Well, here's where this summary bit is. So let's do this. To do Boolean to for separate wick colors that changes config interface. So there was oil numbers just now. Well, I'm just noticing that the treasuries are right up there on the highs again. So they maybe they do actually have more left in them. So you know what? I will leave. Well, I will leave these alone. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have these ones. I'll make these, but I'm not going to use them. Not yet, at least. up bar wick, up our outline, up our wick. And then these ones should be down bar outline, down bar wick. Colors. Down bar wick. Wick color of down bar. Down wick brush. Okay. Hear about the Citibank faffing? No, I did not. Did something happen? When did that happen? So today. Okay. So now we get to the interesting part. All right, which is, where is it? What is it called? Where are you? Ah, yes. Public override void on render target changed. Okay. So this method gets called anytime that like things, so like if you refresh the chart, I think it might get called. If you like change it when it gets created, basically when the render target changes, this changes. So if the render target changes, I need to like set everything, right? And one thing that can happen in here is if I get to this and I say if render target does not equal null, then we want to set everything up. Set up lifetime objects. Okay. Also, when this happens, we will dispose of our brushes. Okay. Dispose of brushes. Okay. So for here, we have, right, we have these 4 brushes. Yank. Ooh. We needed to do 2 tabs over that one. Okay. So now we're going to say private dx brush underscore up brush. Oops. That is not what I wanted. I think I just told it to go to the end of the file instead of the end of that line. Let's see here, because so if I go GL, that's the end of that line. Yeah, okay. So VGL delete semicolon. Da, 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 da. Is it DX brush? Hold on. What? It just calls those it just calls that a brush? That's funny. It's not that specific. In his code, it's not that specific. But in my code, I use the full name of it. I say private sharp dx dot direct 2D1 dot brush. Up brush. Okay. Up brush, down brush. Up, out brush. Down, out brush. And doji brush. Now, interestingly enough, they do not have a separate one for dojis either. There's only, so there's up, there's down, there's up, out, there's down, out, but there's not doji out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that and 3 more. Okay, so this is going to be, there's doji, and then there's doji out brush, right? And then there's going to be down, oops. What is it? Wick up brush and wick down brush. And wick. Oh, actually, you know what? It should be doji wick brush is what it should be. These ones the same. It should be up wick brush and down wick brush. Okay. But then I'm going to comment these ones out for now. Okay. And just focus on the ones that he has. And I can delete these. I don't need these anymore. So all these right here, we're refreezing them. Oh, I don't need that. Okay. And oh wait, where did I put render target changed? It should be before a render. Okay. So now right here, if underscore up brush does not equal null when we have when we're coming into the render target changed, I'm going to dispose it. Up brush dot dispose. Da-da-da. Okay. Up out brush, down brush, down out brush, and doji brush. Okay, let's double check ourselves. Up, brush, up, out. Brush. It's like bruh, but brush. The way that brush is spelled is weird to me. Okay. Down, out. Doji. Brush. Okay. Then in here, if the render target is not null. So you might get some case where the render target changes and it gets set to null, and then we just dispose of these, and then it would get to this and it won't do anything. And then this will get called again with like a new render target. And then we create these new brushes. So, oops. Wrong side of that comment. So this is where we would say underscore up brush equals up brush dot to dx brush render targets. Da-da-da-da. Ooh, semicolon. Don't forget damn semicolons. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, now that I'm creating all of my brushes in here, and do I need text? I don't think for this one I need text. But if I had text things, I would do those in there as well. Okay, render. Okay, there's some of these things too that you don't want to make every time. You don't want to make those every time, folks. Actually, I think I make those in... Oh, hey, my nose is actually getting runny again. We can actually fix that. In this one, I don't, at least. Where's the rendering, though? Oh, because in this one I'm only making colors? No, I draw a box. Draw box. Oh, wait, is draw box my method? Ah, yes it is. In my code, I am making a rectangle thing every time. I think that I should make rectangles. I think that I should have private sharp dx dot rectangle f underscore, or oh well, what would we call it? Underscore rect. This sounds wrong to me. Okay, better blow my nose here.
That was a respectable nose blowing. Do I sound different? Do I sound less nasally? If underscore rect does not equal null, underscore rect dot dispose. Maybe I can't change those variables. Let's check here. Just a sharp DX reference. Direct 2D1, I think it is. Or maybe it's this one. Yeah, here it is. Rectangle F. You can construct it. You can get and set the properties. Okay, so I think that we can just use the one rectangle over and over again and just change the properties of it. Okay. We'll put a line in there just to help us differentiate that these are the colors. Underscore rect equals new sharp dx rectangle f. So they use these vectors. I don't know if I need the vectors either, but I don't need that anymore. They make something just to reference bars a little bit faster. That's fine with me. Bar width. That's fine with me. So this is one. There is a stroke style property. What are you coding? We are coding our own candlestick. We are using a candlestick that already exists, and we're improving it because it has some performance issues. Nah, we're not building another strategy. Come to think of it, I'm not sure why I want to have these candlestick ones, but I'm pretty sure I remember that it was important, so we're doing it. I think it was just because I really wanted to do it, because it was like really irking me that it did that. So that's interesting. How do they use the how do they use these dash styles? I'll have to come back to those, but I'm probably going to need to create instance variables for those as well. Okay, I missed this part right here for each one of these. And then we do draw bar, chart control, chart scale, chart bars, comma, I think. Or is it, let's see here, IDX equals, oh yeah, okay, so it's going to be IDX, which is an int. Okay, so now this kind of like makes it a little bit easier for me to see what's going on, right? I can see, okay, here's where he's creating. So like, ideally, all of this just goes away. Like, why do I need to create? So every time that you're using the new, okay, cool. It's C#. You can make things new and they dispose themselves. It's garbage collected language, right? But every time that you use new, memory is allocated, and that is an expensive operation. So why am I creating a new object on something that's gonna like, runs like every second or something? Like, that makes absolutely zero sense. So these vectors are gonna go.
these are going to go. But I'm just, I don't know where he uses the vector yet. So I'm kind of going to have to look. Maybe I don't need the vectors at all. And I can just use the rectangle. We'll see. Okay. So like these, right? So now we're getting into the drawing the bar. Overridden bar brush. What is overridden bar brush about? Get bar override brush. That's interesting. Get bar override brush. Where does that come from? You know C#? Good. Will you be streaming? Well, so it's not an FOMC, it's just the release of the meeting minutes. So I will not be streaming during that. I think that I may have to leave that as a mystery because we're at a pretty good stopping point. So I don't know about those ones, but these ones. These two right here. We don't, it's doing that 2DX brush every bar and every time that it's rendered. Don't need those anymore because we have instance variables that get reused. I don't know what you do with the overridden. Overridden. Transform brush. Overridden bar brush. So they do use it. I just don't know what it does. Or where that comes from. It's something like the chart control. It looks like it's a method of the chart control. I'm just maybe if I come over here and maybe it's not in their documentation. Ninja Trader 8 chart control dot get bar override brush. Maybe just get bar override brush. And I was saying that it's a property of the chart control. Maybe chart control. Common charts, chart control. And I don't see anything about override. What to do before the Fed minutes on NVIDIA? Yeah, I know. Well, we're programming. It's time for me to get going now. So this is a good stopping point. I wonder if that get bar override brush is like deprecated or something. Like maybe you just don't need it anymore. Because like, can you really come in and like override an individual bar? I just don't know what that's about. It seems to think that there's a different brush for that. What does it do? overridden bar brush. See, it makes the brush, and then it does a transform on it. It must have something to do with indicators being able to change the color of a bar, right? I wonder if you can probably not so then I would be like, can I change the overridden bar into a DX brush? But it's not actually doing that. Is the overridden bar brush a sharp DX brush? And they're just not. I just can't see. Maybe if I had Visual Studio open, I could see that. So I'll have to look at that. So let's just leave a note in here. Are these sharp DX brushes? Are these sharp DX brushes? So that we remember to come in here and check that at some point. This is probably going to be a multi-day project, but I think we got pretty far today. So I can just save that, and I promise to not work on it while you guys are gone. So we'll come back tomorrow. You can see me finish it tomorrow. We're a long ways before even getting something that will even like compile. So, but I don't know. Like we had a pretty good move up, right? Like we did gentle trend. It was a gentle trend. You know, gentle. Well, I wouldn't even say it's a gentle uptrend. It was actually, there were parts of it that were quite quick, weren't they? It was just, we kind of missed it. I guess I could have taken from 0.2 to 0.5 too. Remember, I was like, well, they're at the high. Maybe it goes for another leg. I'm not sure. I don't know. There's some pressure that I was not aware of. This was a situation where I could have traded. I think that it was a mistake for me to have not taken any trade today, but I think the mistake was already made by that point. You know, I should have been taking it at 30 and maybe taking it to 109 even is probably what I would have done, but you could have taken it to 0.2 half. This further move up, I wouldn't have guessed that it was too risky to take that one. So, but what should we put today? Treasuries uptrend ahead of FOMC minutes. All right, guys. So, and thank you. A couple of new names in here. Make sure you're here bright and early tomorrow, 8:20 Eastern time, every weekday. In the meantime, stay excellent, team.